Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. We're going to talk about Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty, former star of Rick and Morty, ousted star of Rick and Morty, and so many other shows. Basically, his career's over at this point because of allegations of domestic abuse and other shenanigans. And of course, you know, true to form, when a celebrity's been disgraced like this, whether true or not true, all the dirty laundry comes out. All the dirty laundry gets aired. So now a lot of his coworkers are coming out and basically talking to the press about what an awful person Justin Roiland is. And again, we don't know the truth yet. You know, I believe in being able to have a fair trial. You know, he is going to court. I think it's in April. And until then, we don't know what the courts are going to find out. But apparently, a lot of his peers have already made decisions. This doesn't surprise me. I've seen this a lot in animation. Again, I don't know Justin Roiland. Obviously, I've never worked with him. I don't know anybody who's worked with him, I don't think. You know, so I can't vouch for any of these stories. But I've seen this time and time again, especially in animation, especially in comics. Usually, it's was it the stinky cheese or whatever the cheese is in Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Like, they pick a person and that person's the kind of the demon of the week, and everything comes out. Everything comes out. Years worth of grievances, and some of them are legitimate and some of them are just people grinding an axe because they didn't get promotion, or his show got picked up and their show didn't get picked up. And of course, you know, when you're bringing it and you're, you know, on a show as popular as Rick and Morty, they're going to let you do 15 other shows, you know. That's just kind of the way it works. But then there are other people who are getting their shows canceled because the numbers basically just aren't there. So for those of you who don't know, yeah, he's been fired from Rick and Morty. Pretty much every other role he's gotten. He was doing some stuff with Hulu. He got fired from that. Was it Solar Opposites, I think? And yeah, I'm sure he still gets royalties. I'm sure it's in his contract. He's a co-creator on the show. But he's basically been unpersoned in Hollywood at this point. And yeah, we're gonna talk about this again. I don't know if any of this is true or not. I have no idea. I mean, he, you know, makes some jokes that are kind of off color. But again, if you're just making jokes that are off color, that doesn't necessarily mean you're doing awful things. I don't know. We're going to see what happens in court. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 292,000 subs. Thank you so much for the support. We do talk about the animation industry. We've been following the situation with Rick and Morty co-creator and voice actor Justin Roiland, and his peers have found him unacceptable. See, I did that. I can't. I'm not going to even try out for any of his roles. I can't do that. But yeah, according to IGN, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Rick and Morty's Justin Roiland didn't have any meaningful creative presence on the show by the time he was fired by Adult Swim. Of course, this is going to be his coworkers and his peers, his frenemies, grinding an axe. We don't know what the truth is. I don't know what the truth is, but this is this big expose that they've done. Now, I thought originally this was going to be Justin Roiland speaking out, trying to defend himself. But that's not what this is. This is a hit piece on Justin Roiland and everybody lining up to take a hit. You know, I mean, that's pretty much it. This is the Hollywood Reporter inside the implosion of Justin Roiland's animation empire. To legions of Rick and Morty fans, co-creator Roiland was a quirky genius whose career was suddenly derailed by allegations of domestic violence. To colleagues, his behavior has been troubling for years. For years. So the AV Club actually encapsulates some of the bigger issues here. And again, I cannot say whether or not these happened. I just know how these things tend to unravel. I've seen it so many times with celebrities, especially people working in like the animation or the pop culture circles or comics or anime or whatever. It's like all it takes is like a couple of allegations, one cancellation, and then all the other dominoes get knocked over, right? So this is AV Club. Read this. Justin Roiland apparently spent years alienating coworkers before allegations became public. A new report details the derailment of the Rick and Morty creator's career, which coworkers and employees say had been brewing for years. So yeah, he got fired from Adult Swim, from Hulu, his own company, Squanch Games. I didn't know that. He got fired from his own company. Damn. Disney 20th Century Animation, fired him as well amid felony domestic violence charges and allegations of online sexual harassment. But just how long was a watershed moment like this building? According to some of Roiland's colleagues, for years. According to some of Roiland's colleagues. An extensive report published today from The Hollywood Reporter's Lacey Rose and Katie Kilkenny chronicles the cataclysmic leveling of Roiland's career, which coworkers and employees claim was a longer time coming than much of his cultish fandom might have imagined. So if you're a fan of Justin Roiland, you're in a cult, I guess. I'll tell you the truth. I am not a huge Rick and Morty fan at all. I've watched a handful of episodes. Maybe I'm just not intelligent enough to get it, but I watch it and I'm like, yeah, I don't get it. It's okay. I just don't get it. Pickle Rick, I did not think was that funny. I'm sorry. But, that being said, I think that people should get a fair shake. And there are a lot of allegations like this in Hollywood. And look, I've heard on both sides. I've seen some DMs. Some people said they're fake. They're not fake. I don't know if they are or not. I mean, even if the guy is making jokes like he's making, honestly, current year, current climate, you probably don't want to be doing that. I'm just saying. And also realize if you're working in an industry like animation or comics, where there are a lot of people waiting to knife you in the back, you might want to be on your best behavior because you don't want to give people any ammo to knife you in the back. In the piece, multiple staffers who worked with Roiland, who spoke to the publication on the condition of anonymity, recalled instances where Roiland paraded a high-profile porn star through the Rick and Morty writer's room, openly discussed threesomes, and was involved in at least one instance of alleged harassment during the show's third season, notably its first with female writers. The AV Club has reached out to Roiland's representation for comment. The report also includes quotes from colleagues who allege that other than voice work, Roiland has not had any meaningful creative presence on any of the series that bear his name. He would skip important meetings, cancel last minute, or arrive drunk, and leave writers waiting until the last second to file phoned-in voice performances. Said the anonymous co-workers. When it comes to the working environment, he fostered a substantial number of Rick and Morty, Koala Man, and Solar Opposite staffers say they never met Roiland in person, or even over Zoom. They also detailed division between Roiland and Rick and Morty co-creator Dan Harmon, so bitter it excludes speaking terms. Wow. And required intervention from a professional mediator. The AV Club has reached out to Harmon's representatives for comment. So yeah, Harmon's in charge of the show now, I guess. Now, Harmon got in hot water for like molesting a baby doll or something, and I thought maybe it couldn't get any worse than that, but who knows? So apparently they're not on speaking terms, according to the anonymous employees. Due to what one source called a surly, petulant, uncommunicative, and grouchy demeanor, multiple former colleagues agree that writing sessions for the series were easier when Roiland wasn't in the room. Eventually, it seems they got their wish. By the third season of Rick and Morty, Roiland reportedly simply stopped showing up. Didn't people say that only the first two seasons were good? I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Anecdotally, I've probably watched maybe 5 or 6 episodes in total. So, and you know what? I am really disappointed in Szechuan sauce. Everybody made Szechuan sauce out to be that big of like a big deal. And it tastes like the shit that comes with the frozen General Tso's at the grocery store. It's not that good, guys. Szechuan sauce really is not good. I'm putting it out there. I was very disappointed. Everybody's like, I'm going to pay $1,000 for Szechuan sauce. It's like, it's not that good. Anyway, these days, most say it's been years since Roiland has done more than voice a character. A strategy one source alleges Roiland pursued with the belief that establishing himself as a voice actor would safeguard his job. Nobody's irreplaceable. But beyond that, it's also showrunners do it because royalties, right? You don't get royalties necessarily for being a showrunner, but you do get royalties for voice acting. And a lot of times that's what these people do. They voice act, but that's kind of like what are they going to call it? Like the Seth MacFarlane maneuver. Make sure you're the star of the show, so it's going to be really hard to replace you. Ask the voice actor for Cleveland. Now that worked out for him because apparently they'll just replace you with a sound-alike. In fact, The Hollywood Reporter reports that following an emotional all-hands Rick and Morty production meeting on January 17th, staffers said they sent a letter to Adult Swim and its corporate parent Warner Brothers Discovery demanding the company publicly clarify Roiland's involvement or lack thereof with the series. Adult Swim did so. Wow, they're just like totally just throwing this guy under the wheels of the bus. As he enters a new and desolate moment in his career, Roiland has remained mum on any and all accusations and will be back in court in late April for another pretrial hearing. In the meantime, the latest from The Hollywood Reporter paints a painstakingly clear picture of Roiland's volatile mismanagement, immature behavior, and blurred workplace boundaries, all qualities that seemingly reared their heads. Yeah, so this thing just goes on forever. They talk about the advertisers panicking, the lawyers huddling. They said the criminal charges were a shock, but they said that he's actually just not a good person. Wow, Dan Harmon even said back in 2014, I could probably steal their money and write something for them. They may even put it on the air. He said in the 2014 interview about Rick and Morty's origin, but it's not going to make people happy the way it is if Justin Roiland is involved. That's what's for sale over there. It's doing things wrong on purpose. It's punk rock. And so I called Justin immediately. So that's how they sold Rick and Morty. So apparently they had a falling out. We had Dan's guys and Justin's guys. And then during season 2, supposedly, Roiland began pulling away, increasingly uninterested in being in a room that had given him great joy only a season earlier. In fact, at one point, he was sitting so far away from the other writers that in order for him to read what was being written on the whiteboard, he had to grab a pair of binoculars that was in the room to scope out the wildlife in the mountains overlooking Burbank. It was like a visual representation of the problem forming, says a source. He also loved VR, and he kept being like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could do this show in VR and never have to be near each other? God. They said that the relationship between Harmon and Roiland had grown so acrimonious that the show brought in a mediator to try and salvage what was once an inspired partnership. And though those efforts were unsuccessful, the pair was able to put aside their differences enough to secure a massive 70-episode renewal from Adult Swim in 2018. Yeah, good luck with that, because they got, 3 more seasons of Rick and Morty without Roiland being involved, being a voice actor. In the years since, Roiland's involvement on Rick and Morty has largely been relegated to voicing characters for which he'd take no direction and record from his home. That is curious, if that is true. In fact, it has been years since anyone can remember him stepping foot in the show's writer's room, even when it's been virtual. See, people wouldn't have to worry about that with me. I'm such a control freak. I'd probably be right there and be like, yep, I'm in your business. What are you doing? What are you working on? I'm in your business. And they'd be like, go away. Just please go away. So apparently his agent is the same as Sam Lufty, who was Courtney Love's agent, Amanda Bynes' agent, and Britney Spears' agent. All of those people turned out very, very, very mentally stable, didn't they? Amanda Bynes, Britney Spears, Courtney Love, and Justin Roiland. It's not really a ringing endorsement of his management style, is it? Old interviews that Roiland had done were suddenly being resurfaced, too. They're suddenly resurfacing, too. Back in 2011, appearing on a podcast, he joked that he would be attracted to effing a 14-year-old that looks like she's 18 and riffed on Dateline NBC's To Catch a Predator. In the same breath, he added, I'm not a pedophile, though. People might take that as a joke. Some people might take that as a cause for concern. His work, which has long made comedy hay of subjects like incest and sexual deviance, was now being viewed through a different lens. Yeah, look, look, he gets his day in court, right? He gets his day in court, and we'll see if he's guilty of domestic abuse. That's what they're accusing him of. I don't think he's going to be working on, I don't know. We'll see. If he gets cleared, they might bring him back, or they might let him do something else. I have no idea. But it sounds like the staffs working on these shows don't want anything to do with him anyway, and he wasn't really involved, but he's still getting paid. I'm sure he's still getting paid, so we'll see what happens. But there we go, guys. Big old piece on Justin Roiland and The Hollywood Reporter. I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.